Have you ever heard a story so strange, so heartbreaking, that it barely seems real? Today, we re-journeying back 800 years to uncover the truth behind one of history's most tragic and debated events. The Children's Crusade. It's a story wrapped in mystery, faith, and immense sorrow. A tale that has been told and retold for centuries, each time adding another layer to its legend. The year is 1212. Europe is deep in the era of the Crusades, military campaigns sanctioned by the Church to reclaim the Holy Land from Muslim rule. Generations of knights and soldiers had marched east, driven by faith and the promise of glory. But by this time, the crusading spirit was waning. Jerusalem had been lost and recaptured, then lost again. Many felt that the purity of the original cause had been corrupted by politics, greed, and violence. It's in this atmosphere of spiritual crises that our story begins, not with kings or knights, but with children. Two distinct movements spontaneously erupted, one in France and one in Germany. They weren't organized by any official power. They were grassroots, fueled by an extraordinary idea. The idea was that the innocence of children could succeed where the sinful armies of adults had failed. They believed God would perform a miracle for them, that their pure hearts could peacefully convert Muslims and reclaim the holy city of Jerusalem without a single sword being drawn. Let's start in France, with a young shepherd boy named Stephen of Cloyes. Legend says that one day, while tending his flock, a pilgrim appeared before him. This pilgrim was, he claimed, Jesus Christ in disguise. He gave Stephen a letter for the French king, Philip II. Filled with divine purpose, Stephen began to preach. He was charismatic, and his message resonated deeply with the common people. He claimed he could perform miracles, and soon, a massive following of children, adolescents, and even some adults gathered around him. His followers believed he was a prophet chosen by God. Stephen and his followers, estimated to be around 30,000 strong, began their long march south towards the Mediterranean Sea. Their destination was the port of Marseille. Stephen had prophesied that when they reached the sea, it would part for them, just as the Red Sea had parted for Moses, allowing them to walk all the way to the Holy Land. Imagine the scene. Thousands of young people, many just teenagers or younger, walking hundreds of miles, fueled by little more than bread, water, and unwavering faith. They sang hymns and carried banners, a moving river of youthful devotion flowing through the French countryside. But when they finally arrived at Marseille, exhausted and hungry, the sea did not part. There was no miracle. You can just feel the crushing disappointment, the confusion, the dawning horror. What was God's plan now? At this moment of crisis, two merchants, conveniently named Hugh the Iron and William the Pig, offered a solution. They had ships, they said, and out of the goodness of their hearts, they would transport the young crusaders to the Holy Land for free. 7 ships set sail from Marseille, packed with hopeful children, but their journey was not to the Holy Land. According to the chronicles, 2 of the ships were wrecked in a storm off the coast of Sardinia, drowning everyone on board. The remaining 5 ships were sailed directly to North Africa, to the ports of Bougie and Alexandria. There, the terrible truth was revealed. The merchants had a deal with the local Muslim governors. The children were sold into slavery. Stephen of Cloyes and his followers, who had set out to convert the world with their innocence, ended their journey in chains. It's a gut-wrenching end to a story that began with so much hope. At the very same time, a similar movement was unfolding in the Rhineland region of Germany. The leader here was another boy, named Nicholas of Cologne. Like Stephen, Nicholas was a powerful speaker who attracted a massive following. His message was slightly different. He didn't claim the sea would part. Instead, he preached that they should walk to Italy. Once they reached Rome, he believed they would be able to continue on their peaceful pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Nicholas, too, gathered an enormous crowd, perhaps around 20,000 people. Their journey was an epic and brutal undertaking. They had to cross the Alps. Think about that. A vast crowd of mostly children and teenagers, ill-equipped and poorly fed, attempting to cross one of Europe's most formidable mountain ranges. The summer heat was relentless, and food and water were scarce. Many died along the way from starvation, disease, and sheer exhaustion. Their path through the mountains was marked by the small graves of those who couldn't make it. The survivors who finally staggered into the Italian city of Genoa were not welcomed. The city authorities were suspicious of this huge, disorganized group of foreigners. They gave them one night's lodging and then ordered them to leave. A small group of them, who perhaps saw the futility of the quest, decided to stay and became citizens of Genoa. The main group, still led by Nicholas, pressed on to Pisa, where they were met with a similar cold reception. From there, they marched to Rome. When they finally stood before Pope Innocent III, the powerful leader of the Catholic Church, he was moved by their piety, but horrified by their naivety. He didn't bless their crusade. Instead, he gently absolved them of their crusading vows and told them to go home. They understood, as they did not, that their quest was a suicide mission. The journey home was just as deadly as the journey there. Many of the children, now completely disillusioned and destitute, tried to find work in Italian cities. Some were tricked into servitude. Of the 20,000 who had left Germany with Nicholas, only a few thousand ever made it back. Many parents, enraged by their loss, turned their anger on Nicholas's father. He was arrested in a cruel twist of justice, hanged for his son's disastrous leadership. As for Nicholas himself, his fate is unknown. He simply disappears from the historical record. Another lost soul in this tragic story. So, what are we to make of all this? For centuries, the Children's Crusade was accepted as historical fact, a powerful, tragic story of misplaced faith. But in recent decades, modern historians have started to question the traditional narrative. They've looked closer at the original sources, which are few and often written decades after the events. What they've found is fascinating. The term used in the original Latin texts, pueri, can mean children, but it can also mean the poor or the landless. This has led to a new theory. Perhaps these weren't crusades of children in the way we imagine. Perhaps they were unauthorized pilgrimages of the papiers, the disenfranchised rural poor, including young adults, families, and yes, some children. In a time of famine and social upheaval, these desperate people might have formed a movement, a wandering pilgrimage, seeking a better life, or a sign from God. Dramatic stories of potted seas and mass enslavement might be later embellishments, legends that grew up around a core of a real, tragic social movement. This reinterpretation doesn't make the story any less tragic. It just shifts the focus. It's not necessarily a story of naive children, but of desperate people at the very bottom of society, pushed to an extreme act of faith by a world that had failed them. The Children's Crusade becomes a powerful symbol of social and religious tensions in medieval Europe. Whether it was an army of innocent children or a procession of the desperate poor, the story strikes a deep chord. It's a story about the power of belief and the dangers of fanaticism. It's about hope and despair. It shows how, in times of crisis, people can be drawn to charismatic leaders who promise miracles. And it is a brutal reminder of how easily the hopes of the innocent can be crushed by the harsh realities of the world. The image of thousands of children marching towards their doom is one of the most enduring and haunting in all of history. It serves as a cautionary tale, a lesson written in the tears of parents and the lost futures of a generation. It forces us to ask difficult questions about faith, authority, and the nature of belief itself. What happened in 1212 is a testament to the immense power of ideas, for good and for ill, and a sorrowful memorial to the countless young lives lost in the pursuit of a divine dream. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the past. If you found this story as compelling as I do, please hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into forgotten history. Let me know in the comments, what do you think, was it a true children's crusade or something else entirely? See you next time.